This is Whitehorse in the Yukon, and it's one of Canada's best kept secrets. Remote, rugged, and rich in history, it truly earns the nickname Banff of the North. In this video, I'll take you along for 4 days, from soaking in some of the purest hot springs in the country to retracing the footsteps of the gold rush stampeders a century ago, from peaceful wilderness to sucking on a toe and revisiting the dream that once ignited a rush for riches. The Yukon may not have the same glitz and glam of Canada's other tourist hotbeds, but this place has so much to offer. This video is sponsored by the Wilderness Tourism Association of the Yukon through their Yukon Wide program. Let's begin. Last episode, I rode the White Pass and Yukon Railway, one of the most scenic train journeys on Earth, aboard a gorgeous 1940s steam engine stretching from the fjords in Alaska over the Canada-US border into British Columbia and turning around on the edge of the Yukon Territory. But that was only half of the original route, and that line once stretched all the way into the Yukon's capital, Whitehorse. And that's where today's story unfolds. The story of Whitehorse begins in the late 1890s with the Klondike Gold Rush. When gold was discovered along the Klondike River, tens of thousands of prospectors flooded into the Yukon, and Dawson City would explode overnight from a population of 500 in 1896 to almost 100,000 at the end of the gold rush only a few years later. And when the news first broke, a prospector was returning with more than $1.5 million worth of gold, it only fueled the frenzy. These stampeders had to conquer the brutal White Pass out of Alaska and then build rafts at the base of Lake Bennett and travel 500 miles downriver to Dawson, including braving the infamous Whitehorse Rapids. Few men would make it, and even fewer struck it rich. And by 1898, construction on the White Pass and Yukon Railroad from Skagway to Whitehorse would begin, and would be completed 2 years later in 1900. But by then, the rush was over. Dawson declined, and when the Alaska Highway bypassed it in 1942, it led to the growth of Whitehorse, which was connected to the highway, and by 1953, Whitehorse would replace Dawson as the capital of the Yukon. The town of Whitehorse was named after the Whitehorse Rapids just outside of town, which were said to be so fierce that the water looked like the mane of a white horse galloping off in the distance. Today, Whitehorse is a northern hub of 31,000, nestled amidst the wilderness of the north, and with a surprisingly mild climate, being only 2 hours away from the Pacific Ocean in Alaska. This brings me to my experience in Canada's largest northern city. My story begins here at the YVR airport in Vancouver, where I would board an Air North flight to Whitehorse with my friend Jordan, and after a ticket check from the friendly staff, we'd take off. This 2-hour flight passes over Vancouver's skyline before turning north and across the much overlooked coastal mountain ranges. And 2 hours later, we'd land. Now the rest of this video is the best that Whitehorse in the Yukon has to offer, and it has to start on the Yukon River where the gold rush took place. I'm here with Yukon Wide Adventures, and me specifically, are going to get put to work and do the exact same thing that those stampeders did, and going down the Yukon River and down the rapids. So this is going to be exciting. Now we're starting off here at Miles Canyon, just outside of Whitehorse. And back in the gold rush era, this was about 150 kilometers into that journey from Lake Bennett. But this is where it gets interesting. This canoe trip actually starts pretty peacefully. It was a beautiful, calm evening, and there is a few spots to stop at along the way, including here at Canyon City, where the stampeders would have docked, got off, and had a couple cold ones before carrying on. When the Yukon River was dammed in 1958, it solved the major flooding problem that Whitehorse saw every single season when it would thaw. Now the dam also increased the water levels in the rapids by about 10 meters, which would severely decrease the intensity. Today, these rapids are only a shadow of what they once were, but even now they will humble you very quickly. And none of this is possible without Yukon Wide, and I'll leave a link in the video description if you want to learn more about their adventures. And yes, we did just complete a 4-kilometer stretch on this river. The real revolution came in 1908 with the arrival of steam paddle wheel ships. So I'm right alongside here on the Yukon River, and on the banks of the river is the SS Klondike. They call her the Queen of the Klondike Gold Rush. I'm personally calling her the Titanic of the Territories. She is the biggest paddle wheeler, one of the biggest steamships to operate in the Territories, and during the heyday, she would bring fortune seekers down this very Yukon River over 700 kilometers up to Dawson City. So she's a steamship. The wood would burn a fire, the fire would boil water, the boiling water would produce steam, and the steam pressure would power that paddle wheel. She would burn 140 cords of wood just to get up to Dawson City, let alone back. Now going up, which was downriver, was about a day and a half trip. Coming back upstream was 5 days. 1955 was the last year the Klondike did any passenger service. She has not served passengers since then, and she is the only one to survive this. So when they would scrap the boats, well, they just left them on the water, they lit them on fire and said, all right, job's done, boys. What an era to have been in. The Klondike was the biggest sternwheeler in the Yukon's history. Weighing in at 2.5 million pounds, she dominated the river, but pales in comparison to the SS Sycamoose, which was the largest steam paddle wheeler in Canadian history, weighing over 3.5 million pounds, which you will see in an upcoming video riding the Kettle Valley steam train in the future. But the Klondike Queen has rested here ever since 1967. And only steps away from the resting spot of this paddle wheeler is the original White Pass and Yukon railway station. Built in 1905, it once welcomed passengers arriving from Alaska. Regular passenger service ended decades ago, but the station is still open, selling tickets to the surviving stretch of track, going from Skagway to Carcross in the Yukon, as well as displaying some really cool history inside, if you're into that. Now next up is a Whitehorse staple. It's been family owned and operated for 25 years, and is the closest natural hot springs you'll find anywhere to a major city in Canada, less than a 25-minute drive away from the airport. This is the Eclipse Hot Springs, and when you combine a beautiful, crisp, late summer morning here with the blissful steam of the pure 46-degree water flowing straight out of the hot springs, with no filters or reused water here, coming straight from Mother Nature's tap, it doesn't get much better or much more relaxing. It's not that bad. I think you'd enjoy it. And they even have cold plunge tubs, which I absolutely love. And as I'd recharge in the hot pool after coming out of the cold plunge tub, and the sun hitting my skin on this beautiful morning, it truly doesn't get any better or more relaxing. It's tough to beat. And Eclipse truly has everything from clay tubs to relax in, hot pools, cold tubs, even a cozy cafe, your favorite style of lattes afterwards. This is seriously one of the best kept secrets I've seen across Canada in this series to date. And like I said, considering that they are Canadian, family owned and operated, it is a no-brainer to come visit, especially less than 25 minutes away from the Whitehorse Airport. Good morning from the Yukon. We're going to Dawson City today, home of the Gold Rush. Now, I could not think of a better way to finish off this trip than to get a taste of the Gold Rush and get down to Dawson City. So Jordan and I would head down to the Whitehorse Airport bright and early the following morning for check-in for our Air North flight to Dawson City. And 45 minins later, we would land in Dawson.
The local time is 9:18.
Thank you so much. Have an amazing day.
Enjoy.
I'll try my best. Woo, it's chilly. It's hard to believe that during the Gold Rush, over 100,000 men called Dawson home. Now today, Dawson has fewer than 500 remaining year-round residents, making it probably one of the few remaining quote-unquote frozen-in-time towns you'll find anywhere in Canada. The town of Dawson is cute and it is quaint. From wooden sidewalks, still standing from the Gold Rush era, to preserved 1890s buildings, and that charm from the Gold Rush era that really makes it feel like you're stepping back more than a century ago. Now this is only a day trip, but the first stop for Jordan and I was Cheechakos Bakery for a hot cup of joe, which was much needed and much overdue after our early morning start. And Jordan wanted a sweet treat and was able to convince me to try one of their locally famous whole grain cinnamon buns. And yes, we all get cinnamon buns just so that we can eat the middle piece of dough. What a great start on a beautiful morning.
You already touched it.
And down the street from the bakery is the SS Keno, the only other surviving paddle wheeler in the Yukon, and she ran that same Whitehorse to Dawson route as the Klondike did, making her final voyage here in 1960, where she has rested as a tourist attraction ever since. But the real highlight of Dawson, unequivocally, is the world-famous sourdough cocktail. This tradition began when two Prohibition-era rum-running brothers got frostbite on a smuggling run. And with the RCMP hot on their trail, they decided to cut them off and put them in a jar to not leave any evidence. And decades later, when they sold their cabin in 1970, somebody was the new lucky owner of a 50-year-old preserved toe. And the locals thought it would be hilarious to serve a cocktail in town with the toe in it. Now, it's not the original toe anymore, as they have been swallowed quite a few times over the years, but locals have always been quick to donate their toes to keep this tradition running.
I'm actually so nervous. I think I'm more nervous of doing this than I was when I was playing.
All right, Travis. You can drink it fast, or you can drink it slow.
Okay.
But your lip must touch this gnarly toe. Only your lip. No
Okay.
teeth, no tongue,
Okay.
and certainly no tonsils.
Okay.
All right. You may kiss the toe.
All right. Cheers.
You got it. You're an official member.
I'm a toe sucker. Thank you, Captain.
You're very welcome.
All right. Your turn, big boy.
You can drink it fast, or you can drink it slow. But your lip must touch this gnarly toe. Your second time, so welcome back to the club.
My second time.
And more than once is a fetish.
Suck the toe, but only one time, so it's not exactly a fetish, but maybe next time.
I did it twice.
So nice you did it twice.
And after that, we would head out of Dawson and back to the airport to board our Air North flight for a 45-minute trip back into Whitehorse.
Thank you so much again, guys. Thanks. Have a great afternoon.
Honestly, before coming here, I legitimately thought Whitehorse probably had 6 people, but I was actually very pleasantly surprised, and on the very day that I landed, the Hyatt Place Whitehorse opened its doors, which is the city's first true high-end hotel in town, and that's exactly where I stayed. And Jordan and I would roll up in the '59 Ford Galaxy for check-in.
Wow. Not bad. Nobody has been in here before. This is the grand opening of the Hyatt Place, so yours truly is the first to do this. Oh, this is actually really cool.
And from their beautiful new dining room to a killer chicken sandwich with bacon jam and crispy fries, or the comfy beds, the Hyatt is right in downtown, so there truly is no better spot to stay in than right here, and the sunsets aren't half bad either. And like I said, it's Whitehorse's premier hotel, so if you're coming, there is no better spot to stay than the Hyatt Place. But now a word from today's video sponsor, the Wilderness Tourism Association of Yukon, better known as WTA. WTA is a non-profit organization that provides leadership, advocacy, stewardship, education, and the marketing support to the Yukon's wilderness-based tourism operators. WTA's mission is to form sustainable business practices, responsible travel, and regenerative tourism principles to create a vibrant and healthy tourism economy in the community. And on behalf of WTA and the Yukon Wide program, I highly encourage you to check out their website, book a wilderness experience, and encounter the wild Yukon territory for yourself. It's a different world up here in the land of the midnight sun. Whitehorse gets a bit of a bad reputation, but it's truly the Nickelback of tourism in Canada. And I love Nickelback, so maybe Banff of the North is a better fitting analogy. Banff is Canada's most well-known tourist attraction, but in recent years has been completely overrun by foreigners and tourists. So if you want that peace and quiet and to take in the natural beauty of Canada the way that it was intended to, then Whitehorse is honestly one of the best kept secrets in the country. In 4 days, I feel like I barely scratched the surface of the Yukon, and whether you're looking to relive the Gold Rush experience, maybe you're in need of a much needed relaxing getaway to a natural hot springs less than 25 minutes away from the airport, or you want to check out Yukon Brewing, which is a seriously cool Yukon-based brewery with non-alcoholic beer as well in their tasting room, there is nowhere else on the continent that you'll be able to find all of this. And with the most scenic train ride in North America less than 2 hours away down the road in Skagway, Alaska, and with direct air north flights from Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Ottawa, and Toronto, it is easier than ever before to get here. And I absolutely loved my 4 days in Whitehorse, and I guarantee you it will not be the last time I'm here, because I didn't even get a chance to experience the Northern Lights, dog sledding, or ice fishing. But more on that in a future video. I want to know, have you ever been to the Yukon? Do you live here, or do you have a story to share? Whatever it is, drop in the comment section below because I would love to hear it. And next week, I'm off to Calgary for the next episode in this Best Kept Secret series, the Calgary Tower. From its world-class dining to its hidden history, it's one of Canada's most underrated landmarks. All that and more coming next week. I want to say thank you so much to WTA for sponsoring this episode, and thank you to you for watching. And I can't wait to see you next week in Calgary. I'll see you then.